looks like.
OBS fucked us in the ass.
So
then you liked it. Okay, carry on.
All right. I love OBS. It's amazeballs.
it's just as shit as everything.
Okay,
else.
Bubba is going to talk about nothing for a second, and now...
Only the good.
Bubba, talk for a sec.
Talking about nothing for a second.
All right, can you all hear that?
I think we're good.
I hope we're good.
You thought we were good before, and we weren't good before.
All right.
Uh-oh, Menoff John's here.
Oh, shoot, the Podfathers come down to criticize
It's all
us real
downhill
far.
from here.
Can you hear our audio, John? Or more to the point, can you hear Bubba?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Nice.
Okay,
Brad
perfect.
finally heard.
All right.
Hard restart.
Hard restart.
No.
Recording live from the E. Haley Memorial Studios, straight out of Elmont, Ontario, it's time for This Death Clock Has 60 Minutes, your one and only weekly Warmahordes news broadcast. It's 8 p.m. Wednesday night, the beers are cold, the news is fresh, and the death clock starts now.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Death Clock. It's Wednesday night, and it's time to talk about a little bit of War Machine and Hordes. We had a little bit of technical difficulty, so we're broadcasting a little later than usual, and we apologize for that, but hopefully everything is working now. Yeah, thanks, Bubba, for that. That was good stuff. I'd like to first introduce our guest star this evening, and to introduce our guest star, we have a special video.
We have a special
Go.
intro just for Bubba. Okay.
And his name is Bubba.
That's right, tonight's guest is no other than the King of the North himself, Bubba Dalton. We have brought him to us because we have that kind of power here on the Moose. Bubba, give us a little intro on who you are for those who may not know.
Hey guys, I'm Bubba Dalton, Canadian War Machine player, sometimes foolishly called the King of the North, created by Beer Machine at the last Sioux before this one. I'm a member of WTC Team Canada. I really love to play Khador. Apparently I will dabble in other factions. When beautifully painted armies are handed to me, I will play them.
It's fair. We brought in Bubba because he's coming off of one of the craziest winning streaks we've ever seen at the SOO, and to garnish the opinion of the king himself. So we're going to be talking about a bunch of the new little hints and tidbits coming up from 3.5, and then we're going to talk a bit about being the king and getting some tips and tricks from the master over there, as well as, we'll offer some of our sage advice that nobody will listen to and most likely ignore. But before we do that, I would be remiss if I did not introduce my two co-hosts. Sitting to my left is no other than the guy who makes all of this go and makes everything beautiful and does all these, pretty overlays. That was really nice, right there. Yeah. Oh, you made that, and then, somebody else did that.
Yeah.
But anyway, that was really good podcasting. George Schweitzer, otherwise known as PG Semi-Automagic. What have you been up to in your World of War Machine this week?
Well, Monday night was our game night at the pub, so I managed to get in a couple of games. Darius, the man in the can, is actually going 1-1. Managed...
You're playing Signar again.
Yes, I kind of slipped back into Signar until we see the Prime Conflux. I think I'll be playing quite a bit of Signar. I did manage to pick up a Spriggan and drop it on Sorcerer 2's head for the win. But then Exelon, Texas parted the seas.
Parted the Red Seas of blood.
Who was playing Exelon, Texas?
That would be me.
That would be
me. And over on the other side is no other than the Ringo to my George, the one and only Maelstrom, Jason,
I'm here.
Otherwise known as Jason, who keeps you all entertained in the chat all night long. If you don't know that, if you don't know that, and now we made him sit here on the podcast, so you don't chat as much as you used to.
No,
I actually did that on the request of your wife because you kept coming to bed like super drunk on wine. So
we hope to cut down a bit.
You got in 3 games or 2 games?
2 games
on
I
Monday.
won both. Yeah,
and you won both.
Yeah.
Right. with Veil 2.
Veil 2, Assassinations.
Veil 2 to the face.
Yeah, maybe top of 2
I heard Veil 2 is pretty good.
I heard she's legit.
Okay.
I heard she's getting nerfed, like...
You shut your mouth.
Really bad. Yeah, she's...
No!
Yeah, she's going to be the new Darius. The new...
And Darius is the new Veil 2.
Darius will be the
Oh
new
my
Veil
god.
2.
I would be so happy.
All right. And over to Bubba. Bubba, what did you do in your World of Warmachine this week?
So since the Sioux, I've played exactly one game. It was yesterday. I played Vlad 2 against Fiora, Assault Commandos, and Double Victor.
Oh, wow.
Oh, dang.
It was friggin' hilarious. Actually, the Assault Commandos did more work than the Victors. Like, Victor killed, like, Hand of Judgment and Fiora, but the Assault Commandos killed, like, an entire unit of Errants and a bunch of Zealots and some Daughters. It was great.
Nice.
Awesome. Well, it sounds like we all had a good week. I had a great week. I played... because I'm excited about the rules for 2.5 and what they do with Cephalix, I'm putting Circle away for a while. I packed them all up back into their box and dusted off Exelon Texas to give him a quick run. And I remember why I hate him.
Yeah.
Because Veil 2 assassinated him in the face hole. And then
Well,
I
that's
remember...
just Veil 2. I mean, that's...
Well, but anyway, and then I
Veil 2,
remember
Veil 2s.
quickly why I love him, because I got to part the Red Seas. But I will admit, I made a page 5 blunder this week, and I want to send this out to all you to remind you that sometimes you have to put yourself in check. I got super salty.
Yeah. You were real
I got
salty.
super salty. Oh my god!
during
After that Veil,
game?
Oh,
that
really?
Veil 2,
Oh, God, yeah.
that Veil 2 loss kind of made me want to kick some puppies. So yeah, and I was just like, fine. And in my defense, this is I want to say 10th game in a row I've lost. So I kind of needed...
So that win I threw you kind of needed
Yeah, it was
that.
really nice. Thank you, dude. Yeah, thank
I'm
you.
going to have to stop playing Veil 2 because I just seem to make people salty.
Yeah,
with
you
her.
do. You well, it's the top of 2 assassinations.
Yeah.
The
So-
same problem I had with EK.
Well, welcome to First World Legion problems.
exactly.
Yeah.
You and the Haley 2 players can have a
Yeah.
support group over there next to the dynamite.
Well, it's also, I think, it's the same problem I had with EK, because a top of 2
Yeah.
assassination on anybody can just kind of ruin your day.
Well, you feel like you didn't get to play the
Yeah,
game.
you
I
feel
moved
like-
all my stuff up and now I did.
Yeah, now and in my defense, in against me, in my offense, my offense was to move.
You are
I
pretty
moved
offensive.
way too far forward, and I forgot how ridiculous that assassination vector is.
Yeah.
So, but let's move right along. That was our week, and we'll do little bat reports on that as time goes on. But here's the things we're going to talk about this week. Again, no news coming out of Privateer Press. It's like a vault over... Wait, no, totally wrong, opposite.
Leaking like a colander,
Oh
maybe?
my god. It's like, I want to say 7 new tidbits of information a day. Whoever the marketing guy is at Privateer Press that has this giant calendar of, here's the amount of information we're going to leak per day. It's got to be the most complex, bizarre calendar in the world. Like, okay, on the forum, we let this go, and then on this, we let this go, and then we need 8 articles a week written. It's crazy. So let's start...
I'd actually really like to applaud Privateer Press from that aspect. Like, announcing Mark III, and all the players want when they announce it is Mark III to come that day or the next day. They're fucking give it to us now. And at least Privateer Press has the wherewithal to be like, we're going to give you spoilers every single day.
It has
multiple spoilers every single day, and that's really cool.
It's crazy. It is. I mean, I work for a marketing company. I know how this kind of thing works, and I cannot comprehend the amount of effort that's been put into that machine that is the leaks and spoilers. So let's get right on to some of the leaks and spoilers. And it's only been 7 days since the last time we talked about the leaks and spoilers.
It's been 7 days,
but it sounds like
a month.
A month has happened. So let's start with so long ago. We were given the battle box. The NDA on the battle box was released. And that
I wouldn't say NDA. The battle boxes were spoiled, basically.
Yeah.
We finally got to see the physicals.
Yes.
Not the rules, not the cards, but we got to see all the physicals in the box.
Right. We got to see some of their
looked awesome,
and they got to see a bit of the training manual. Was the other thing that we got.
Yeah.
To see.
The battle box. The new battle box experience is really, really cool. Mm-hmm. Not only do you have the models that you see on the front of the box that are cast in your faction's color plastic.
But let's remind everybody, this is the same resin plastic that everything else PP has produced before. Nothing has changed.
You say that the formula for the plastic has changed over time.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So if you picked up a battle box back sort of beginning of Mark II when they were just transitioning over to plastics, the plastic you're going to get in a new battle box is very different than the plastic you got then.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Like, it's not resin, it's not hard plastic, it's not the... can't remember what it is.
Whatever. It's not
whatever
the
that
sprue
plastic
stuff.
is.
It's not the PVC. It's
no, but it is a much better plastic
than the old
rubbery
stuff.
stuff.
It is their 10-year plastic.
Yeah, exactly.
Say. And but that to be said, it's not a different material, which a lot of people thought it was when they saw the colors.
It's not the hard plastic. It is just cast in their standard PP plastic. But that's not really the big thing for the new battle boxes. We all knew that there was going to be either quick start or a rule book in there. We knew that there was going to be models, like cards. These are all things that we basically knew.
Right.
And all of those things, except for the models, weren't even in that box.
Well, now we found out that there's tokens, a wall, if your caster has a wall, and a map and a quick training guide that is supposed to be the best thing in the world for new players, and allows you to basically, because it's got some cut tokens that for generic casters, it allows you to play with a buddy right out of the box.
So that training manual, when you open it up, inside the front cover are all the templates you need. Yep. So that wall you were talking about is in there. Yep. There's also a spray and an AoE template.
Yep. So much cool stuff.
It also comes with tokens. It also comes with the battle mat.
Yep.
And it also comes with a horrible ruler and some dice.
Well, and this is awesome. So basically, right out of the box, you can play. Yeah. It's got enough stuff that you can play with a buddy. Let's go around and get some sort of impressions before we just get down into the minutia here.
Well, there is one thing I wanted to mention before we go around to impressions. In that box is something we've never seen before, and that is the new player experience. So that battle map on the other side had a bunch of letters on it. A lot of people were wondering what that is. If you look in that quick start guide, it actually has a scenario. It says place this model here, place this model here. But that's something we've never had before.
It's a great idea, and it's a great way to give new players.
I think it's something we should mention right off the top, that is a brand new thing that we've never seen.
Well, what's cool about it is it goes back to the old basic D&D or the beginner's box that used to come out for our old role-playing games back in the day. Here's a simple... For those of you that have never played a game before, Mom putting it under the Christmas tree, you can open up that box, and the idea being that a new player who's never played any type of tabletop game can play it and get a full experience and understanding of it without having to go to a buddy or a PG to learn how to play.
Yeah, they were comparing it to starting to play a video game. Press A to jump, use the stick to move, like very, very basic stuff.
So Legion Battle Box. Let's start over with our resident Legion player. Yeah. You've seen the models? You see the colors? Yeah. Are you excited?
Oh yeah, I'm excited for the new caster. I mean, the models I have already, but I'm going to buy it for the caster regardless.
Right, because we know the caster is going to be a few months at least before we see it in its own box.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Bubba, over to you. What is your... We can wax how much we love the new battle box all day, but these guys, we might want to ask their impression. So, Bubba, what do you think of the new battle boxes and how the look is?
I think it's super fantastic for new players. It should also be noted that the price point went down $10 based on the MK2 battle boxes, which offered less value as well. Yeah. You're getting all the bonus stuff that George talked about. You're also getting a little fluff book for each faction. So I'm super excited. It should also be aware for everybody that the battle boxes for a while will be the only way to get the new Warcaster. They won't be selling them in individual blisters for a while, they've said.
Yeah.
So it's a way to make everyone buy them, I guess, not just new players. Because everyone's going to want it.
Yeah, well, I think we're all going to end up... I mean, most of us hardcores that really want to get our hands on the new casters would probably have bought it anyway. It never hurts to have a couple extra war beasts kicking around to mod or whatever you're going to do.
So, Bubba, how do you feel about the Warjack staying the same in the Khador box? I want to hear a Khador player.
They're not the same.
No, they're not?
The Juggernaut is the same. The old Mark II battle box was a Juggernaut and a Destroyer, the Bombard.
Yep.
This one is a Decimator, which is a chainsaw and the beatback gun, or it had beatback.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's a different secondary jack, which still has the gun and melee weapon, so it's kind of the same but different. It's all about what Kozlov does and that kind of stuff. So we'll see.
Yeah, and I'm kind of a little. No, I'm not super bummed about it, but they didn't do a battle box release for Mercs or Minions because they're not really factions. But I was kind of hoping that maybe there'd be a pirate box. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Well, there were Mark I boxes for those.
Okay.
There were not Mark II boxes. Well, there were the Mark II Convergence box, which we didn't see a Mark III.
Right, we haven't seen a Mark III Convergence box. I'm guessing we will someday.
Yeah,
but they probably have to introduce a new caster and that kind of stuff. We knew we were going to see some of the microfactions like Cephalix and that kind of stuff, but I would have liked to. I kind of was excited to see if there was going to be a pirate box. That would have been kind of badass, but whatevs.
Now, in the tournament rules, we have seen that there will be what we would call alt battle boxes for those.
Yeah, so the next topic, of course, is we know what the new Merc and Minion battle boxes are. I can't say I'm super excited about the Merc one, because I'm going to buy the Merc one, because I'm going to go all in Cephalix for a little while. But can you give us what those are, PG?
So the first of the two mercenary boxes, what I will call the human box, is Magnus 1, Mangler, and a Rover.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not real up on my Merc Jacks because I swear I don't think I've ever actually seen them on the table. The Dwarf Battle Box is Osram, a Driller, Blaster, and 2 Gunners.
Mm-hmm.
Super legit.
Yeah, that one's pretty exciting.
I was actually
gun bunnies at Mark III. If they keep powerful attack, oh shit!
Yeah. With a focus for everyone. Oh my god!
Yeah,
so good.
Gun bunnies OP if they keep powerful attack.
Yeah. For minions, we've got 2. We've got Helga with a Warhog, a Battle Boar, and 2 Razor Boars. And then the other one is Barnabas, Wrastler, Bone Swarm, and a Bull Sniper.
So the thing that we'll talk about this further on when we get down this list of magnitude. One of the things that they've talked about with Mercs and Minions, actually we should probably talk about this now, is that they have opened up the factions so that you're no longer locked. So if you're playing, say, a Dwarf Caster, it does not necessarily mean that you have to take the Pact that only allows you to use other dwarves in your pact. They're opening up the pact system. Bubba just throws his glass when he's done. I'm the king of the north. I only drink from a glass once.
Fetch me another wench.
So yeah, they've opened it up. So this is actually could be interesting. This means it might be worth, because I'm not excited with the Magnus battle box. It's not that much different from the old Mercs battle box. And although I like Magnus, he's not the caster that attracts me. I'd rather have seen Bart or somebody a little more piratey, I guess. But I would very much be willing to pick up the Dwarf battle box if it meant I could use all the other Mercs, like the Galleon and that kind of stuff.
Well, the suspicion is that Magnus is going to play a really big part in the fluff.
Yeah.
Because we've already seen him in a picture with a bunch of other people. So the suspicion is that he got chosen as much for fluff reasons
Absolutely.
as for balance reasons.
Yeah, he's going to be a main character in the whole Signar storyline. We know that already.
And one thing we haven't mentioned is the new faction should also be getting a battle box, right? Because isn't the new faction coming out about the same?
No, it's going to be another year.
Another year.
The announcement is this year, and then next year we'll actually see the faction.
So we know that the new faction is coming, but they're going to do the announcement at the same time that all the new toys come out.
That's where I got confused.
And we'll all be super excited about that. And then they'll be giving us like 800 leaks a day for a year.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I'm just kidding.
That may actually kill me.
So yeah, Merc and Minion battle boxes. We know what they are. Bubba, you're obviously excited about the Dwarf battle box. Any of those other things that kind of intrigue you at all?
I don't know. I've really only played Khador and Trolls. I own quite a bit of Mercs, and I've played them like once or twice. So I've just, I think the Barnabas one's really good with the Wrastler, because the Wrastler now has Rage. And that's a ridiculously good Animus.
Mm-hmm.
That one's kind of cool. Other than that, I'm not too open. I really like that they've opened up packs and contracts. I think that's going to really help Mercs and Minions overall as a faction in competitive play. Also for regular play, like you're not so limited. You're like, I really want to play pigs, but they only have 20 models. It's like, well, now they have 40 models because they can play Gators too.
So moving right along, the next thing that we got to see was the new the new deck packages. We got to see how big they were.
Yeah, they're a bit of a stack.
Yeah,
6 years will add a few cards to your list.
But what's amazing is the cost isn't that bad. Like the reality is it was at $20 they're announcing the cost. So. And they've said that there's duplicates of cards where your duplicates of cards that have boxes where the FA is higher than 1. Yeah. So that's pretty badass too. So awesome. That means that if I buy the Merc deck, for example, it's going to have all the Mercs in it. But if you buy the Signar deck, you don't necessarily, especially if like for casters that are also Signar casters. I can't remember the word for it. Attached.
The Signar
allies.
Yeah, I want to say they're allies.
You don't have to rebuy those cards. They've announced that those will be in the deck. So things like the Boom Howlers should show up with the Troll deck, if that makes sense. They've said that that's what's going to happen. So you shouldn't have to go out and buy a Mercs deck just to complete your Signar deck.
No, but you will need to grab a Mercs deck if you're going to play Mercs with your Signar.
Absolutely.
For example, if you want the
Signar
Forge
may
card,
have been a bad example.
Well, no. I picked Signar because they have models like the Forge Guard that aren't Signar and Ally, but are models that are often taken with Signar. So in that case, you'll want your Iris, so you'll want your Merc deck and you'll want your Signar deck.
Right. Yeah. So the next thing that we heard about was hinted on the forums. Somebody asked whether light artillery was going to be good, and I believe the response was they ain't just going to be good. You're going to want them all. So that is the most that we've heard. We don't know more than that the artillery is now good. But what I want to hear from you guys.
How do you think it's
going to change? Like, so do you have any idea there, Maelstrom, of the guys on the boards? Maybe we'll send it out to the guys on the board, see if they have any ideas.
Let us know.
PG, what do you think?
Maybe move and shoot. Maybe they aren't limited to having to stand still to shoot, because suddenly a 20-inch gun that can walk 5 or 6 inches before it shoots, a 20-inch gun that can get out of the way. Like that's kind of scary awesome for the points.
Right. Or assault, maybe it becomes an order.
No, assault, I can't see them picking up the gun and running.
That's true.
No.
That's true.
Just from a fluff point of view, that seems kind of silly. But
I don't know.
But you could see them run up, drop it, fire.
Let's go to the king of the North. Bubba Dalton, if you could fix artillery, what would you do?
I'd have to agree with George on point one that moving and shooting is kind of compulsory to make them good. Just being able to stand in the back, unless you're like a Kador mortar team and have range 20, like you have to move because you suck.
Yeah.
I think a bit of an increase to Rat might help as well, just because they are kind of that special piece. They're only shooting that one kind of target usually. Hard to say. Most of them are Rat 6, Rat 7 when they have the guy base to base. So I don't really know. It'll probably be a combination of range being extended and moving and shooting. I can't think of anything else off the top of my head that would make them better.
Maelstrom, what are they saying out on the chat there? We've got
we have a bit of legs, so arcing fire. Definitely.
Well, some of them already have that.
Yeah.
Albin's saying there'll be weapon attachments instead of them being their own models. That might be a really interesting way to do it.
That'd be sweet.
Yeah.
And Menoth John is saying move and shoot confirmed. So that's coming from the president.
Well, the president of War Machine says it's so, then it's so.
Yeah, there we go. So there's some cool theories, but I think the moving and shoot thing and a weapon attachment would be amazing. And it would make sense from an army standpoint, is that you just make it a weapon attachment. All right. Okay.
Maybe that's one of the reasons you're not going to see 3 rockets in your Death Star,
Maybe.
Khador, maybe one of those becomes a mortar. Because they said you can have up to 3 of all the ones available to you.
Yeah.
So Aubin just had 3 units of Winter Guard and 9 mortars.
So
look at Bubba! Look at Bubba! He needs new pants!
So the brown pants.
The next thing, War Room 2.0 came out this week, or basically the beta went into the second phase where they gave us access to the play, the fight screen. So we've had a chance to play with that. I don't know if Bubba has, but we can pass that around. Maelstrom, what do you think of the new War Room so far?
I really like it.
Yeah?
Yeah. The fight screen, it has all the information on the right-hand side that you need. It seems to run fairly good. I didn't have mine glitch out on me anyway.
No, I didn't have mine glitch out. It worked smoothly. Everything did as I wanted it to do. I've added the painted models to mine, so it was easy for me to build an army from there. PG, you were happy with it?
Oh, I really enjoyed it. There was a bunch of things that made me very happy. Having stats underneath each entry of the model so that I didn't have to swap to that card all the time. For Legion, being able to tap a button and add a shredder, or at least look up its stats so that I didn't have to go, oh god, what's the threat on that again, or what's this when I popped it out of the pot. The ability to theoretically we can connect them together. We haven't tested that yet.
We haven't tested that yet.
Hopefully.
Well, the biggest thing for you and
we'll do that on Friday.
The biggest thing for you and I was the reset button.
Oh god, yes.
Just being able to hit.
I want to re-rack, one button, hit, reset. Resets all everything.
Especially for tournaments where I don't have to exit back to the main screen, start a new game, go through that whole thing, or forget for 10 minutes while you're playing, and they go, oh, fuck. I didn't, first damage you take, oh shit, I gotta reset everything and go back to the beginning. Bubba, have you had a chance to play around with the new War Room? Not yet?
Nah, haven't touched it.
Oh, it sounds like you might need a beta key. So moving right along, Agonizer has been announced to be a lesser war beast. You being the only Scorn player here, what do you think about Agonizer being a lesser war beast?
That's really interesting. That means a couple of things. We won't get a focus from it when it dies, because it's a lesser, and we know that lessers don't give that fury. I suspect it will make them a little bit more durable, because they'll have spirals. But other than that, since we don't know much more about it, I'm sort of hesitant to say much more than that.
Yeah, it's interesting. Agonizer is one of those things that you see all the time in Scorn armies, so for it to become a lesser could be really good or really bad.
Yeah, I'm vaguely... Well, the one thing that makes me kind of interested is, are they going to take one of those abilities away and make it an animus?
Right.
That might be able to be cast on someone else.
There you go.
That could be interesting.
Yeah.
Feel free to jump in here, Bub, if you got anything to say. We'll just keep running through this list. 5 Fury, it being confirmed that Forsaken still have 5 Fury.
That's
you
good.
Guys both play a little bit of Legion. That's good.
If the Shredders are going to take a bit of a nerf, or the Shepherds are going to take a bit of a nerf, then it's good that the Forsaken can still run up there and get rid of that giant amount of Fury that's sitting on your Angelius or whatever.
Yeah, well, it makes them still useful.
Yeah.
I think the Blight Bomb, in the way that it is now, is going to still stay pretty much the same.
Yeah.
If you couldn't pull all that off,
Yeah.
the Blight Bomb becomes kind of weird.
I think Bubba's trying to hint that you guys are crying giant, salty Legion tears.
Like, fuck Legion. I can't have 20 Fury and take it all away.
I play the faction. I don't have to worry about all these new terrain changes, because I just ignore that anyway. Oh.
Yeah, right? Like, fuck.
Oh, now
I'm glad the Shepherd got nerfed into the ground. Thing was egregious.
So the new Journeyman League has come out. That is where we got the information on the new battle boxes. The new Journeyman League has undergone some huge changes. The patches, and love my buddies at Privateer Press, but I think those are the ugliest.
You're not a big fan.
I'm not a big fan of the new patches.
Yeah.
And I like my
of the belts and their little
the little penis that comes out. Of the
yeah.
belt. I like my flare as much as every other.
I like the more
have some
military looking.
Yeah, give me
you got
chevrons
flair.
and give me my military looking chevron. I want to feel like a military commander when I get my awards. I don't want to feel like I've got some weird little penis belts. Let's go over to Bubba Dalton. You might be able to comment on this more. How do you feel about the new... Have you read about the new Journeyman League, and how do you feel about the changes?
Very briefly, I read about it. I 100% agree. I don't like the patches. I think they look stupid, especially compared to the old ones. I think they were fine. Maybe you update the center thing a little bit. I don't know. But I think they're, as along with Privateer Press's general plan for War Machine, is they're streamlining things and making things more accessible, especially emphasizing on the new gamers. So by having, and I really like that it's not like the guy that comes out the most.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
is like the guy. Like, if you come and play 80 games, you just win.
Yeah, exactly.
Just win. Not that a Journeyman League is about winning in any way, shape, or form. And I also like that they've created it where there is benefits to stay in it the whole duration, because I think that was one of the problems before, is that people would like really, really into it for like 2-3 weeks, and they're just going hard, playing like 1 million games a week, and then they're like, I don't care anymore. But they still win because they played those 80 games.
Yeah.
So incentivizing that is going to keep people in for the 6 weeks. I think that's a really strong idea.
Yeah, I like the new, the way that they're handling the hobby award. I like that a lot better, that it's done more by a voting system than just a straight, I painted 8 billion models. Like, I literally did a 5-minute paint on 8 billion models, so I get 6 billion points. I don't think that was a great... That's a throwback to the old ways, I guess, if you want to say. Doing it something... I'm never huge on a voting system, but by the other token, you still do get points for painting models, but not... It's capped. You can't get 800 points for painting models in a week. You get whatever, it's like 3.
Yeah, exactly.
I like that system. But yeah, overall, I like the changes, just not the patches.
Exactly.
But we'll see. I mean, we haven't seen them in person. Maybe they don't.
Maybe they look great.
Maybe they look amazeballs. Okay, so this one I'm sure you're going to want to talk about a lot. We were told that the Archangel has been given Speed 7.
Archangel.
A whole...
the Archangel.
Yeah, the Archangel. You know, that giant...
It's been a while,
That thing you have, you for a while had 2 of. The very first model you went out and bought, and then found out that it was complete and utter trash. So you found out it has Speed 7. It's keeping its Animus, which some people actually call trash, but I think it's a good Animus. I think it's a good Animus.
For sure.
Well, light everything on fire.
The newer version of the Animus.
So, but it's got some cool stuff.
Yeah, it's got D3 +1 shots and not strafe like the Seraph has.
Yep.
So it doesn't matter if the model's 2 inches within the original intended target. You can just pick off things across the table. Yeah. It's good stuff.
Good. So Legion got more good things.
And with Speed too, there might end up being, I'm wondering, there's rumor it might be a spray instead of just a straight shot, which could be dangerous.
That would be really dangerous.
Yeah.
The one other thing that
just shake your head.
precedent setting on the new Archangel is the first outside of normal movement movement on a Gargantua.
Yeah.
So it's still during the turn, but it's outside of their normal movement. And that didn't happen before.
Yeah. So it gets a 3-inch move after.
It basically got Cav.
Yeah. It's got reform.
Because all Cav is now going to have that. We mentioned that last week, that all Cav is going to have that movement afterward. Reform, and now the Archangel has it as well.
So it's basically the the fastest?
No, the circle model,
the Wold?
The bird. The
Lightning Chicken.
Lightning Chicken also has Speed 7.
Gotcha.
At least from what we've seen in the Mark II edition leaks. Cards, not leaks because it was in the book, but nobody will get to play it before Mark III. So it'll be most likely Speed 7, and I'm sure, and it'll have flight as well. So they'll be very comparable, I think, on the table. We'll see how it goes.
Yep.
And of course, Bubba's just like, screw you, Legion players. Kadar needs better stuff.
I think it's cool. The Archangel is the most gorgeous model ever produced by Privateer Press. So if you get to see it on the table more, I'm cool with that.
We already talked about some of the... We've finally been leaked some cards.
Ooh, yes.
So bigger portraits on the cards. Looks pretty. I can't say anything. But we've been given some hints, such as Trenchers might be super legit now.
Trenchers with Assault. And 1 inch of reach.
Yeah, with their bayonets.
Now, they did lose the ability to play baseball. Mm-hmm. They have all suddenly come over with cramps, and so they can no longer throw their smoke clouds. It's just sort of like ninja, boom, I'm out.
Yeah,
you know. But they are still looking really.
Yeah, they're looking
legit.
pretty cool. Well, that goes with. We've also been told how the new reach rules will work. That it's no longer reach. It's every melee weapon will have a range the same as a gun has a range. That you'll either have 0.5, 1 inch, or 2 inches. And that goes for beasts in particular. Every beast will have at least a 1 inch unless they have the 2 inches. But they'll start with 1 inch, which just makes logic sense, because why does something that is 8 feet tall using a sword that is the size of a dagger? So that's kind of cool, and we've sort of got a glimpse at some of the cards to see how that works. It's an easy change. Any comments, concerns?
Well, one of the other things we saw in these cards was that the Slayer had the 1 inch reach as well.
Yeah.
And I think 1 inch across the board for Jax was something that Jax really needed.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's rumored, right? That's kind of the thing.
No, that is confirmed.
Is that confirmed?
Yeah.
Sweet.
All Jax,
That's awesome.
all Jax, minimum 1 inch.
That's amazing.
I'm wondering if...
And beasts.
Yeah, I'm wondering if we'll see actually longer than 2 inch.
Yeah,
I wonder
that
if we'll
could be
see a
interesting.
3 inch tree on
Who
Mold.
knows?
Proteus?
Yeah. Proteus, well, he's already going to have some sort of drawing
He's
type of deal.
6 inch.
Minions, we talked about this a little bit. Minions got Rage on one of their war beasts, which is pretty sweet.
The Wrestler,
I want to say.
Yeah.
That's pretty sweet, because that's a super, super good Animus.
Really
Why is
good
it such a super good Animus there, Bubba?
Well, +3 strength is just legit in general. So it's Minions had a bit of a cracking problem outside of Rask. Rask has Fury, and if Rask keeps Fury as a spell, then that means Wrestlers are walking around POW 23. And that's super legit.
Yeah.
So that'll really help their armor cracking issues that they currently have. So, and you can throw Rage on anything. So you can just be like, I rage this guy.
Minions also, by somebody, so when they showed the new card boxes today, they're like, here's all the card boxes, and here's the back of one card. Well, I mean, people use some, super photo digitizing, straight out of CSI shit, where they're like, enhance this, and they managed to get what's on the back of that card, and it's Wrong Eye and Snapjaw, or Wrong Eye's card, the back of Wrong Eye's card, and it's going to give Minions star-crossed, and there's a lot of excitement about it.
Well, and think about all the people who can take Wrong Eye and Snapjaw right now.
Everybody.
More importantly, it gives fucking Crix star-crossed.
Which is what they needed.
I'm suddenly not okay with this. I'm suddenly not okay with this.
This game is broken. Okay, so there's been a ton more news, and we've been trying to post it to our Facebook page. If you want to try to keep up with the news, George's entire life now revolves around data mining, the constant flow of information. So we're running a little bit over time on our news segment, but run through some of the news items that just has happened in the last 2 days since I wrote this.
Okay, we'll have to make this really kind of quick. The Steamroller packet came out, that was today, with all kinds of wonderful little fun. One of these things I really want to ask Bubba about, character restrictions are gone in multi-list events. How do you feel about that?
In an MK2 vacuum, it's crazy. In an MK3 world, Hungerford very clearly was pushing that they have not overpowered a solo. So having Eris 2 in all your lists, having Derek Wraith in all your lists, having Tartarus in all your lists, having Kovnik Joe in all your lists, hopefully won't be a problem. So it will remain to be seen whether it is a problem or not. I'm sure there will be lots of solos that will be in both lists because they're still really good. You just can't get away from that. It's the nature of the beast. But it's probably fine. It would have been fine in MK2, probably.
Yeah.
Well, and the reality is that these packets change.
Yeah.
So, we can go through this. We're going to be going through a whole new world meta for a while we see all the new lists that everybody are using to be awesome come out. But that doesn't mean that that's going to last forever, because the steamroller packet gets changed.
Every year,
next year they'll be like, okay, well, that worked. That was fun for a year. Now we're taking away your toys.
Yeah, some other stuff that has come out of the steamroller. We're going up from 5 to 7 to 6 to 8 pieces of terrain.
Yeah, so that's recommended.
Yeah, well, it's always recommended.
But
most people try and stay pretty close to it.
Keep it off the sides of the table.
Yes, and it's all going to be pushed to the middle.
Yeah.
Because there's now going to be a band around the outside. Mm-hmm. I suspect it will be probably 10 inches, because that's the way they've sort of done it already.
Yeah.
You can't have anything in the regular deploy. So a 10-inch around the outside band where you can't put any terrain, I think would drive the terrain to the middle so that it all actually matters. We're going to see, because of that, we're going to see a lot more relaxation about how you can put terrain down. Mm-hmm. It can be in zones, like you can get obstacles in zones now.
Yep, they basically said it. You want to put an obstacle in a zone? Put it in the zone. It's okay.
Yeah, it's going to be kind of a whole new world terrain-wise. That would be really interesting to see.
That was a big complaint that a lot of people had about the Privateer Press game as a whole, or Warmachine Chords as a whole, was that it wasn't pretty. People weren't putting a lot of terrain down. So, I mean, this should make the people that love terrain super, super, super happy. It'll be interesting to see how that shakes out as far as the change in games and how that, messes with things like Colossals and all that kind of jazz. But I'm excited to see how it goes.
Along with those rules we recently had on the forums, they went into a little bit about the changes to gaining the advantages or disadvantages from terrain.
Yeah.
To gain the advantage, you must now be completely within.
That's a huge change.
That's a huge change. There's no more towing on the anything.
Yeah.
But to gain the disadvantage, like for example, rough terrain, as soon as you hit it, you are slowed down.
Yeah.
So they are changing the way that works. So even though they're saying there's more terrain on the table, because they aren't changing the size of the terrain, a lot of the positive effects of terrain will actually shrink down on the table. It'll be more areas, but each area will be effectively your base size smaller.
Right.
Right? So
two things. They did mention that you still will be able to tow zones per scenario. And another really cool thing is that this means that a Colossal on a hill,
does not
unless
that's a huge ass hill.
Yep, has to be
completely within it, which means Colossals seeing over everything and killing your caster are dramatically reduced potentially.
Yeah, that's ginormous because we're hoping to see more Colossals on the table. So finding, not allowing Colossals to be that unlimited that they were before. Especially, well, I mean, that's a huge thing for Stormwall in particular. Earthbreaker is.
Oh man, Earthbreaker.
So I'm sure that we've got another million things, but we're going to just have to move on a little bit. We'll talk about a few little things near the end of the show as George quickly skims the bits of news that we did get. But I think we covered 99% of the leaks this week. We got most of it. There's a few little things. It only took us 40 minutes to cover all of that. So we got about 10 minutes left. And what I want to do is we're going to mine the gold that is the mind of Bubba right now. So Bubba just came back. For those of you who aren't part of the Ontario meta, the guys from Australia, the guys from Sweden that listen to our crap.
Both of them.
Both of them.
Yeah.
Bubba just came back from a double win at the SOO. He not only took Iron Gauntlet, and to give you the quick and easy story so we don't have to tell you the entire story, he did it with a faction he's never played before that he got handed on the floor before he started. One was Circle with zero experience playing Circle. Well, some experience playing against it, obviously, but no experience playing it. And did it with a Morv 2, won it on a Morv 2 head-to-head match against a guy who had played some Circle but also wasn't a super experienced player. And then proceeded the next day to win the Masters event playing his Khador lists. Again, all the games that I saw on the stream were very heavy infantry, which we'll talk. I want to talk to Bubba a bit about this, but we'll talk about that later because I think this is interesting because it's kind of for us the end of the infantry machine era. We'll see if that's
our hope.
That's our hope.
Yeah.
And seeing both of those infantry heavy lists dominate was, to me, as the announcer on those matches, one of those things like, the infantry machine is it's not a problem, but it is a thing, obviously. So, Bubba, let's start with talk a bit about. Let's maybe just talk about the final matches you dealt with Iron Gauntlet and Masters, the lists you chose, and sort of the experience you went through on those.
Sure. So in Iron Gauntlet, the story is I walked into the room the morning of Iron Gauntlet and was like, somebody hand me a fully painted army with 3 lists. I had a few offers. I ended up with Circle, no Bradigus, so I was like sad, and I was like, oh well. This will be really fun. Got to the Gauntlet rounds. First Gauntlet round was Morvana 2 versus Morvana 2, which is miserable, fun fact, because it's just like tons of dudes and recursion with the feet. So my advantage in that game is I picked a better prey target with my blood trackers, something that they could get to on first turn. His 80'd Ravagers versus my 80'd blood trackers, so I could get to them. That was a big win. And then I just kind of went for scenario a turn earlier than he did, and that set the table for him having to go for an assassination that was impossible because I had 4 transfers. In the Gauntlet round finals, I played Morvana 2 against Doomy 3, Double Glacier King, which is goddamn miserable for me. I kind of thought he was going to play Family Reunion, because that's what he played the round before against Legion, and I was like, if he's not dropping Doomy 3 against Legion, then what the hell, like, why wouldn't he drop? I don't know. So I was like, I kind of lost that matchup. Basically, I jammed the Glacier Kings and played really bad and forgot that I had Purification to purify off their Animuses where I get knocked down. And I forgot that I have Scales of Fate to, like, reroll a roll where I roll 3 to kill a fucking whelp twice. Then I had to like take half my army to kill that last whelp. I did, but it was ridiculous. I got really low on time, and I thought I was done. I thought I was going to lose on time, which is an unfortunate part of Iron Gauntlet. That's just kind of how every game goes. Unless you find some assassination, you just you win or lose on clock, because there's not enough clock for that many models and points. It ground down, and my opponent was getting a little frustrated. Because all his champions were dead, so he's just really all he has is Glacier Kings, and they were kind of boxed in. And he was a newer player, I was told. He's only been playing for like 8 months or something. So he's just getting frustrated, which was unfortunate. And as the game wore down, he's just wasting a lot of clock, and he was actually telling himself, slow down, slow down, slow down, because he was rushing things. And so what ended up happening is he got really low on clock, and he went for a charge, and I knew he didn't have it based on Parallax with my Shifting Stone that I had ported into Doomy. And so I wanted to very clearly pause the clock right away and explain to him and the judge like what was going on, so that I wasn't wasting his clock, because I would feel terrible to waste his clock and win like that. So I was like, I want to pause the clock. I want to have it explained very clearly what you're trying to do, and also why you can't do it. And it turns out that the guy he was charging, he wanted to kill. We talked about the game after, him and I, and he wanted to kill it so he could move his Glacier King forward. But the guy he was trying to kill was knocked down, so he could have just cast Stranglehold at it and killed him. But he's like, I don't want to shoot him in melee and like miss and hit my Glacier King, and like, so he's like, I'm going to charge you, and he ended up failing the charge. And by that point, he was really, really frustrated. So, and I was going to start scoring CPs, and he was going to run out of clock. By that time, he was actually below me in clock, I think. So he just kind of let the last few seconds run out, and I managed to win on clock to win IG with Circle, which was awesome. I got a really cool pin. So it was really funny. It was a lot of fun for me to play something different, especially in a big tournament like that. Masters was far more important to me, I guess you could say. I've really wanted to qualify for Warmachine Weekend. It's really the pinnacle of the competitive scene right now. At least for now. Maybe Iron Gauntlet surpasses it one day, but right now it's still the top. So I brought Khador, but I didn't bring my standard tournament list, which is Butcher 3 and PR Rust. I was really, really worried about Raven Tier. And I can't... Butcher has a chance, but it's all about how my opponent's dice and how hot he rolls assassinating Butcher. And Rust just can't play it. He just dies. He's an old man. So I brought Vlad 3, who has Wind Wall, and who can be totally fine against Raven Tier. He just Wind Walls, keeps some key models in the Wind Wall, takes Kazi Assassins to jam him. They have stealth, so they're fine. And with dash, they're really fast. And then he's got a really long threat range, sidesteps. When he kills things, he gets the blood tokens, which Mage Hunter Strike Force don't ignore. So that was kind of cool. Turns out, fun fact, didn't even fucking play Raven. So taking Vlad 3 was pointless. I played him once in Masters. I played Butcher 2 every other game. The reason I took Butcher 2 is because I was like, oh, Mark 3 is coming out, and this tier is dead. And I had just gotten all the Doom Reavers, so I'm like, well, god damn it, I'm going to play it once.
This is your chance.
Yeah, so I played it. Got a few favorable matchups, aka not Raven Tier and not Kane 1, because Kane 1 shits on that list. A few other things aren't great for it, but when I was playing in the not great matchups, I just used the Fenris Bullet to kill their chop their caster's head off. So that was really fun. The final game, or the semi-final game, I guess, was the more talked about one, because on turn 1, my opponent was like, oh, okay, I'm going to go with my Blightbringer. And I'm like, oh, no, don't do it. And he's like, no, I'm not going to go with my Blightbringer. I'm like, whew, okay. He sees that he can't fit through there. Then he's like, nope, going with my Blightbringer. Takes the Blightbringer off the base. He's like, strength and armor, starts moving it. And I'm like, oh, no. And I'm like, can you check? Because I don't... And he couldn't fit through that gap if he was 4 inches wide. So his Blightbringer sat on his deployment line, and that was pretty much it. And then in the finals, it was dude spam on dude spam. Butcher 2 with the 8 units of Doom Reavers versus Zal 2 with 3 units of Immortals. And so the guy I played was a guy from my local store. The top three was actually all my local store. So the guy I played, we were talking about the game, and we're like, this is just going to be an absolute cluster. Because we knew we were going to play into each other. And we're like, this game will... And then they told us the scenario. We're like, oh, this game's going to clock. Like, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You're going to put 100+ models on the table in outflank. And, yeah, they all have reach. Like, it was just... We just knew that game wasn't going to be all that entertaining. It was going to be like, let's make 1,000,000 attacks. So I ended up picking it up on clock. I did push scenario and go for it early and went up on CPs as a fallback, but I was so far up on clock, like 20 minutes or something, I thought I had it pretty well in the bag early on. I figured I'm way up on clock, so I'm probably fine either way. That was it. So I won both.
So interesting facts on both of those, because I did watch all of those matches.
Whether you liked it or
not. I did. It was interesting to me because, again, let's go back to my earlier comment that I think it was a great way to see Infantry Machine
at its fullest,
at its finest, well played Infantry Machine, and I have never played a truly infantry heavy list except for maybe a couple of my Signar. No, Thexus. But I play it monstrosity heavy, so not a lot of people do. So let's get your thoughts, Bubba, on do you feel that infantry, the infantry dude spam style list, because you did play a lot of them at both of those tournaments, is it good that that's ending? Are you sad to see it go? What are your thoughts on that change?
So I don't really care either way whether it stays or goes. What I feel Infantry Machine does, and I thought about this when you sent me the notes for the list about dude spams, I was like, dude spams allow a player to make a lot of mistakes and not suffer because they have so many more dudes to make attacks or get in position to cover up those mistakes. Whereas playing something like Legion with a few beasts and having few attacks and few models, your positioning and your target priority and what you do is so much more important. A local guy I play with, the guy who came third at the Sioux, Chris Orr, he is so good at just positioning. He plays Legion, and he has like 10 models on the table. But he does so well because he just positions incredibly well, picks his attacks, stays where he needs to be, and he has to be incredibly precise, and any mistake is just like blown out of the water, and he like loses the game. Whereas if you run 48 Doom Reavers and you scream them up the board and you're like, cool, 20 of them died, you're fucking dead still. So like, you know, it just it's not easier. Like it still requires like skill and all that to play it well. But you can make a lot more mistakes with Dude Machine. And if that's kind of ending going forward in Mark III, having that skill to use less attacks and less pieces and target prioritize properly and really make the most out of what you have will be incredibly... Well, those kind of players will go really far.
Well, and I think that the other side of that, of course, is one of the skills that I commented on the stream when I was watching your games that you have is you're a very efficient player as well. So you can move 100 models quickly and keep yourself on clock. And I think that that's the barring factor for, say, the new Crix player that gets told, well, you have to play 600 Banes. Well, they're going to lose their first 500 tournaments because they just clock themselves every time. Yeah. So getting rid of that actually helps some of the entry point, I think, for young players as well, to a certain degree.
Quite a few people actually mentioned that to me after the Sioux. They're like, you just like play really, really fast, and people just can't keep up like with that. And it's just part of knowing what your army does. So one of my things with the Doom River list, and it's something I try to tell people who want to get into like tournaments and stuff, is deploy and do your first turn unless you need to do a lot of shooting in under 5 minutes. Mm-hmm. So deploying, 55 models and running them all and casting your spells, do it all in less than 5 minutes, and you're going to set yourself up really, really well for later in the game, which is obviously something I did not do with Circle, because I have no idea what I'm doing. So my first turns were taking like 10 minutes, and I was like, oh, this is bad.
Well, anyway, just with half the models, more than half the models on the board being Doom Reavers, it's pretty easy to know what their stats are right off the bat. Yep. You don't have to, yep. I don't even need to turn on War Room. We'll just go from here.
So it's the same thing for my Rusk list, though, which is a far more complicated Dude Swarm. I'll deploy it and do the first turn in under 5 minutes.
So, Bubba, moving along a little bit, say I'm playing my first game against you. You're waging psychological warfare on me.
You guys are never gonna forgive me.
You're just shutting me down completely.
I'm shutting you down by being overly nice.
Yeah,
you bastard!
Stop
being so
on
nice.
On the actual table, yes. Okay.
So I'm getting tabled completely. And what are some tips to maybe help me keep my cool and just maintain a good sportsmanship level throughout the entire
How do you
game?
not go on tilt?
Well, because that's the thing. You never go on tilt, but like I never once saw you tilt straight up. Like we've seen people tilt, and not just in your games. In every game that we've commentated on, there's generally somebody who tilts. What is your advice for keeping your head level?
It is incredibly rare that I will tilt. Biggest thing for me that it's my hobby. This is not a profession. I'm not getting paid. Is it cool to win? Sure. If I lose all the time. Like, I lose tons of games. Like, it happens. It's part of the thing. So, whether you win or lose, who cares? I'm out to have fun. I hang out with the guys, go for beers, get to move some models around, hopefully teach some people some things. So, not going on tilt is just something that doesn't even cross my mind. I like to say that I don't care and it's not that I don't care, but I don't care. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't care what happens
it's a
because if I win, it's cool. If I lose, cool. Like, the guy did a great job. Not going on tilt, so keep that in mind. You know, it's your hobby. You're doing this for fun. This isn't what keeps a roof over your head or feeding your family. So, like, don't take it so personally.
Don't get
like,
salty because you got assassinated.
Yeah,
Assassinate my veil too.
Yeah.
Right? I'm sure he pulled off like a wicked, like Oraculus' own angel.
I did,
like
actually.
Run it in.
That's exactly.
Triple ablit you. I'm sure it was really cool.
That's exactly what happened.
I think he only had to double a blade, actually.
Yeah, it was just double.
The other thing about tilting is a lot of people tilt not so much what their opponent will do, unless they're like egregiously cheating. They'll more tilt when they make a mistake.
Yeah.
Either because they don't know something, or more likely because their dice failed them. And getting mad at your dice is just silly. Like, sure, if you roll 6 snake eyes in a row, well, that really sucks. But there's nothing you can do about it.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can put yourself in a situation where dice matter a little less, that's kind of like a next level thing you can put yourself in. But just don't get mad at dice. They're dice. Like, you have no control. Like, just don't worry about it. Just remember for next time. I don't know.
All right, last question is going to come from PG Semi-Automagic for this evening, and then we're going to go into the lightning round.
Well, it's something we actually like to ask all of our guests. And that question is, what is the one thing in your battle bag that is weird or interesting? The one thing you don't think anybody else has got kicking around in their foam?
All right. So I have 2 that I really like. So I have Chris Orr, when we were at CaptainCon, found these tokens that they're from, I think I found out they're from the Game of Thrones card game or something like that. They're little crowns. So those are my focus tokens and fury tokens. They're really, really cool. They're like made of metal. They're really heavy. They're actually super sweet. But the coolest thing I have in my bag that I know nobody else has in Canada, so people in Europe have them, if you're at WTC, is I have an orange die, and the 6 is Vladimir Putin wearing sunglasses.
That's amazing.
Yep. So it's what I use. It's what I use to track my scenario points with. Because I always want to have it on the table because it's like the coolest thing in the world. So when I played in the last round of WTC last year, we played against Russia, and I beat my opponent. And after the game, he's like, "This is what you get. Here you go." And of course, I had the dice faced to the 1, so I was like,
Okay.
Yeah, cool. It's an orange die. Thanks. He's like, no, look at the 6. And I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. And I was like, how did you get this out of the country? We got. So yeah, that's the cool, interesting thing I have that nobody else has.
I like it.
All right, we are going to have Bubba back on the show very, very soon, I'm sure, because he keeps saying yes, really, more than anything. I
got nothing else to do.
Between him and Marc Andre, it's awesome. We get knowledgeable people on the show who just keep saying yes, those suckers.
Yeah.
What we'll get you guys to do is, if you're watching this live right now, put your questions up for Bubba. We might have some time after the show for him to answer some of your viewer questions. Yeah. If you have questions for Bubba down the road and you're either listening to the podcast or you're listening to or you're watching the YouTube feed, go ahead and put those in the comments or come to our Facebook page and put it there, and we'll make sure that we get those questions to Bubba as well. So and before we go into the lightning round, I just want to thank you again, Bubba, for joining us. It was super, super fun. We'll wax philosophical on that in a second.
Before lightning round, remember to mention War Room.
Oh, yes, and don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, after War Room, if you want to we're giving away, after the lightning round, this is where my brain goes after 5 days of editing. So if you want to get a couple of beta keys for iTunes, for the iTunes version of War Room, so the iOS version, if you don't have the beta keys yet and you want one, what you need to do is at the end of the show, type in Machine Moose, and I will tell you when. It'll be at the end of the lightning round. I'll say, type it now! Type that in, and we will be giving away 2 beta keys tonight from the great guys at Tinkerhouse Games. They're super, super, super awesome, And Menoff John got one last week, and that's how he was able. He got the highest rated show he ever got because he got a free key from us from Tinker House Games.
It's good. It's good to generate content for other people.
Yeah, exactly. It's helping other folks out. So, but it is, of course, time for
The lightning round.
10 of the hardest questions in War Machine. Bubba, I expect you to use your signature Bing Bong as your buzz in, because now that is yours.
Maybe.
You own that.
Maybe.
Yeah.
You own that. And of course, what you need to do is buzz in. For those watching the stream live, you can try to answer. There is a delay on ours, so Maelstrom will decide who the winner is on the stream at the end of the lightning round.
Yeah.
And there may be a prize in it, because we may be able to give away another key for the person that wins the lightning round. 2 beta keys, if you need one. If you don't need one, you don't have to have one. Question number 1. I have a raven and a worm blade as my weapons.
Bing bong.
Bubba. Who am
Lord
I?
of the Feast.
It is the Lord of the Feast. Very good. Question number 2. What factions will Boomhowler and company work for?
Trollbloods, Signar. Ooh, I want to say there's one more.
Like all of them.
All of them.
Mercenaries, Kador.
You're missing one that is important. According to their card in War Room, they will work for Crix.
Really?
That is what
Why
I read.
don't Crix
I could
players
be
play
wrong. I could be totally wrong.
Boomhowlers?
I'm wrong sometimes, but I believe I looked at the card and I believe that they can work for Crix. Question number 13. How far can a model move if it runs?
Bing bong.
Bubba.
Focus!
Yeah.
Little bit of a maelstrom there. If a model sacrifices its movement to aim, what is the benefit?
Bing bong.
Bubba Dalton.
+2 to hit with ranged attacks.
Very good. It was important to put in the ranged attack thing. Question number 5. What is the range on Major Siege's rocket cannon?
Bing bong.
Bubba Dalton.
Too quick.
12.
No, it's 14.
Ah.
It's 14, ladies and gentlemen. That's why it's so legit. Question number 16. What does Carver's title, BMMD, stand for?
Oh, jeez. Minty?
Anybody?
We'll all just stare at the chat
Anybody?
till you type it in.
I'm not giving it to you. It's Bringer of Most Massive Destruction. Question number 7, actually. Does Iron Mother's cloak have reach?
Yes.
Yes, it does. Question number 8. What is the strength of a... Bubba should get this. What is the strength on a Cadoran Marauder?
The stream is cutting out.
Strength on a Cadoran Marauder.
It's 16. Oh, the strength? Or the power and strength?
Strength, just strength.
Oh, it's 12.
It's 12. Question number 9. What is the range on the Choir of Menoth's battle hymn? George.
6 inches.
No, it's 3.
Oh.
It's 3 inches. 3 inches. Question number 10. Sorry, question number 9, actually. I'm screwing up. How much damage does a model take for falling off a cliff 6 inches high?
Oh.
Bing bong.
Bubba.
D6.
No. It is POW 10 plus 3 die 6. POW 10 plus 3 die 6. There's the math on that.
Who plays hills that tall?
That's why. It was a tough question. All right, so now it's time, ladies and gentlemen, for the Minty Fresh question of the week. Brought to you by Minty, the Minty freshest guy I know. What were the 4 types of unit formations in Mark 1? 4 types of unit formations in Mark 1. Told you these were hard.
Formation?
There were 4 of them. George, go ahead and give some guesses.
Baked, fried, barbecue, and stewed?
Baked actually was called Jordan.
Oh.
And fried was... All right, no, it's skirmish, which was up to 3 inches apart. Open, up to 1 inch apart. Tight, which was base to base. And cavalry, which was 5 inches apart. So there you go.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah, that's what I was
Well, that's
just
the thing.
thinking.
So what was interesting about that to me was I asked Minty to give us some like changes that happened. That's a huge. I mean, that's not even in our logic realm that kind of stuff existed. All right, PG Semi-Auto Magic. What events do we have coming up this next little while?
Oh, geez. You had to ask me. We've got Second Company of Iron coming up. Mm-hmm. I believe we have another one of the 35-point casual events coming up pretty close now. And then we've got another one of the Alpha Track ones coming up in... I think it's the end of May.
So a bunch of events there happening.
Yeah, but they are all sort of pale in significance to what's coming up.
Quick shout out to our friends doing Battle of the Breath, please. That's coming up really, really soon. So go check out the Battle of the Breath.
21st of May.
Get registered.
May 21st.
Yeah.
In Cambridge, Ontario. If you want to come to the event, 32-player cap. Lots of cheating and fun things you can do.
Super fun.
Play Harbinger and Crix.
Yep.
You can do that if you have enough tickets. But more importantly, the raffle, which is worldwide. Anyone can enter. The prize support is getting super, super legit. All the major companies, Broken Egg, Army Painter, Muse, I can't even think of all the rest of them. Like, anyone that does hobby stuff has basically been really, really cool and donated stuff.
Sweet.
So we really appreciate that. But more importantly, the big prize of the raffle, full-size Wrath Rock, made by a guy whose name is slipping my mind, from Seattle, Washington. I think his name's Aaron. I don't know.
It's super cool, though. Yeah. You can
it's super sweet.
It's beautiful, yeah.
So it doesn't matter if you are in Southern Ontario, the U.S., England, Australia. It doesn't matter. You can enter the raffle. All the info is on the Facebook page, Battle for Breath. The YouTube videos at YouTube Def Head Dice have some information as well. So if you win that Wrath Rock, it will get sent to you anywhere in the world.
Yeah, we'll actually, after the podcast tonight, we'll throw up the Battle for Breath, the advertisement. So get involved in that. Yeah. I have to do some shout outs for my buddy Minty because he has come up with so many questions for us. Our buddies at Fandom 2 will have a painting day this Saturday. It's the last Saturday of each month. Iron Kingdom's RPG Demo Day on May 7th. Shard Invasion Scenario Tournament on May 14th. Unleashed RPG Demo on June 4th. Custom Battle Box Tournament June 11th. And Apprentice Boot Camp on June 18th. All are free attendance, and the prizes are just fun.
Custom Battle Box one looks
so
really
get in
legit.
there if you. And last but not least, before we go, I need to give a shout out to our buddies at Wizards Tower.
Huge.
If you're in Canada and you're looking for a place to buy your minis, well, if you're anywhere and you're looking for a place to buy your minis, go to our buddies at Wizards Tower. They are a Canadian company. They are fantastic. Their customer service is amazing. They have an online customer service. There's generally somebody there all the time. So
yeah,
if you
it's
have
amazing.
a question, it's there. They are one of the few companies in our local meta that carry every single model at all times. They have a full SKU list. So if you want to go get stuff, pre-order stuff, whatever, go check out the guys at Wizards Tower. They are fantastic. We love them, and they are the people that keep this clock ticking. So if you support them, you're supporting us, and vice versa. And of course, I want to give a shout out to our buddies at Muse on Minis and for all the great work that they've done for us and the work that they're doing with us in the future. We've got some great, exciting announcements coming up from Muse on Minis, some things that we're working on with them that will be super, super exciting. And we will hint that there's a thing called the MMN, which may or may not happen very, very soon, which something about 24 hours of non-stop war dollies. Which
Something about that.
Something.
You guys might want to check out Menoth John on Sunday.
Yeah.
There might be some kind of announcement
yeah, there
happening
might be. Yep, and so that's it for tonight's Death Clock. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining us. It was amazing. Thank you very much to our buddy, the King of the North, Bubba Dalton. Bubba, I can't thank you enough for taking the time out. We'll get you back in a few weeks, of course, to my two co-hosts. And I'm going to lead out with a little commercial. If Maelstrom can find it. Yep.
Dice Down!
Moosemachine and This Death Clock Has 60 Minutes is a proud part of the Muse on Minis network. Podcasts go online every Thursday morning. You can watch the show live every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern on Twitch and keep in touch with us on our Facebook page. Just Google Moosemachine. If you can't find us, you're doing the internet wrong.
And you can kill the recording? Leave the streaming going?
Yeah.
Okay.